The clock in the emergency room showed almost midnight when the sliding doors hissed open with a cold gulp of rainy air. A soaked German shepherd stepped onto the bright floor, gripping the sleeve of a tiny, unconscious girl between careful teeth. His paws slipped across the polished tiles, but he refused to let go, pulling her forward until startled nurses rushed from their desks. The head nurse, Ms. Khan, knelt at once, seeing blood on the child's forehead, mud on her torn dress, and fresh bruises on her knees. She had worked in the ward for years, but never imagined a dog would deliver a patient by himself in the heart of a thunderstorm. The shepherd stood guard, tail rigid, ears pricked, eyes pleading as orderlies gathered a stretcher and blue gloves snapped into place. Dr. Farad shouted quick commands, and within seconds the girl was lifted gently. All the while the dog trotted beside her like a silent paramedic. People in the waiting area gasped, phones half raised. Yet no one dared block the determined animal's path toward the glowing trauma bay. Security officers stepped near, but Ms. Khan waved them off, sensing the dog meant no harm and that every heartbeat mattered for the child. The automatic doors to Trauma Bay 1 slid back, and bright lights washed over scrapes and a deep cut hidden beneath her hair. Monitors blinked awake, beeping like startled birds, as a nurse snipped fabric and another pressed gauze on a crimson line. Outside the bay, the shepherd whined softly, pacing in tight circles that mapped his worry on the waxed floor. Rainwater pooled beneath him, yet he neither shook his fur nor sought warmth. He watched the swinging doors with fierce devotion. An elderly visitor whispered that angels sometimes wore fur, and a ripple of agreement wandered through the corridor. Ms. Khan fetched a blanket, draped it across the dog's shoulders, and noticed a faded tag clinking against his collar. The tag, scratched by time, showed only 2 letters, R and J, and a phone number smeared beyond reading. She scribbled the fragment into her notebook, already planning to call every shelter once the little girl was safe. A burst of thunder rattled the windows, but inside the hospital a different storm of urgent questions began to brew. Who was the girl? How had she been hurt? And where had this fearless shepherd come from so late at night? While lifelines flowed into tiny veins and scanners whispered their findings, the mystery stood dripping in the hallway, waiting for answers. Inside the bay, nurses worked swiftly, placing an oxygen mask on the girl, while Dr. Farad studied the swelling around her forehead. He ordered a CT scan, fearing internal bleeding, and an orderly sprinted to prep the machine down the hall. The shepherd tried to follow, but Ms. Khan blocked the door, kneeling to meet his dark, searching eyes filled with worry. She spoke in a calm voice, telling him the girl would be fine, yet the dog's ears tilted, unsure if he believed her. To soothe him, she filled a bowl with water, adding crushed ice so the dog could drink and cool his panting tongue. Between sips, the shepherd glanced at every passing staff member, as though appointing each person guardian of the child. A young intern named Bilal crouched nearby, scanning the dog's coat for clues and finding a small patch of fresh road tar. Bilal guessed the girl had been hit by a car on the wet street and that the dog had dragged her to safety. Further inspection revealed tiny gravel stuck under the dog's nails, matching the debris in the girl's tangled hair. Dr. Farad returned with early scan images, relief softening his stern face as he announced there was no brain bleed but several fractures that could heal with care. He praised the team, but saved his warmest nod for the silent shepherd who still stood alert near the door. Word of the heroic dog traveled fast, and soon the hospital director rushed down with a camera crew from local news. Bright lights flickered, microphones appeared, and curious patients leaned out of their rooms, eager to witness the story unfolding. The shepherd, unaccustomed to flashing bulbs, tucked his tail yet refused to leave, positioning himself between cameras and the girl's room. Ms. Khan politely asked reporters to wait, reminding them that medicine, not headlines, must come first tonight. She escorted the dog to a quiet supply room, laying an old towel for him while she searched databases for missing children. At last she found a police alert about a 6-year-old named Aisha who had vanished from a roadside bus stop during the storm. The timing, the injuries, and the girl's striped dress matched perfectly, turning Ms. Khan's hunch into certainty. She called the duty officer, explaining the situation and urging immediate contact with Aisha's frantic parents. As sirens approached in the distance, the German shepherd lifted his head, sensing rescue was only the beginning of this strange night. Officer Malik arrived first, rain streaking down his jacket, and stared in open amazement at the silent guide waiting outside the trauma bay. Ms. Khan briefed him quickly, pointing out the dog's tar-stained fur and the fragmentary tag letters R and J. Malik radioed the precinct, requesting any file on a German shepherd with those initials, but no immediate match surfaced. Meanwhile, Aisha's parents burst through the lobby doors, faces pale, eyes scanning for hope until they saw the familiar striped dress. They cried out, rushing toward the treatment room, yet paused when they noticed the dog who had rescued their daughter. Hesitantly, the mother reached a trembling hand, and the shepherd sniffed, then laid his head against her palm as though offering comfort. The father knelt, whispering thanks, tears mixing with the raindrops that still clung to the animal's whiskers. Reporters captured the tender scene, but Officer Malik ushered them back, reminding all that an investigation had barely begun. The dog's loyalty hinted at training, so Malik contacted K9 unit records, hoping to trace a retired service animal named RJ. A dispatcher confirmed that a K9 officer named Rex Jr. had gone missing 2 months earlier after his handler died. RJ had refused reassignment, escaping the kennel during another storm and vanishing into the city. Malik realized that the same courage that once helped officers now guarded a little girl, bridging 2 separate tragedies. He knelt and clipped a temporary badge to the dog's collar, declaring him an honorary officer for the duration of the case. The waiting room erupted in gentle applause, the sound echoing down sterile halls like a promise of justice. Yet mystery still loomed. How had Aisha been struck, and why was RJ nearby at the critical moment? Malik asked the parents for details, learning that their car had broken down, forcing Aisha and her older cousin to walk ahead toward the bus stop. The cousin, frightened by lightning, had sprinted home, expecting Aisha right behind her. Minutes later, screeching tires echoed on the road. Witnesses later recalled a dark van speeding away, headlights off, leaving nothing but a broken umbrella and scattered schoolbooks. Malik pieced together a theory that RJ, seeking shelter, heard the crash and dragged the unconscious child toward the distant hospital lights. Determined to confirm his guess, he prepared to follow the dog back into the storm, hoping RJ remembered the route to the crime scene. Officer Malik secured a reflective vest around RJ, clipped on a sturdy leash, and stepped into the downpour with 2 patrol cars crawling behind. He let the shepherd lead, and the dog pulled north along flooded sidewalks, nose low, tail definite as an arrow. Streetlights flickered, casting watery halos, while sirens in the distance blended with thunder like drums in a tense march. RJ paused at every intersection, sniffing tire grooves filled with oil and rain, then continued, guided by scent unseen to human senses. Finally, they reached a deserted stretch near an old warehouse where broken glass glittered like stars on the pavement. Skid marks scarred the road, and a twisted bicycle lay against a lamppost, its wheels spinning in the wind's breath. Malik's flashlight found fresh paint chips, matching the color described by witnesses who had glimpsed the fleeing van. Officers photographed the scene, bagging evidence while RJ sniffed deeper into a narrow alley behind a warehouse. A torn piece of bumper hung from a dumpster, its serial sticker intact. An investigator radioed headquarters to trace the code. RJ barked sharply, pawing at a door where rain had washed away dirt to reveal a faded logo of a delivery company. Malik pushed the door. Inside, abandoned crates lined the walls and footprints sank into muddy puddles across the floor. In a corner, he found a makeshift repair station, wrenches, spray paint, and a half-dry can of matching van color. The evidence suggested the driver had stopped here to hide damage before escaping, unaware a dog detective was on his trail. A sudden clang echoed, and RJ lunged toward a stairwell. Malik followed, breathing hard, heart pounding like the rain. Upstairs, a man tried to pry open a window, but bar lights from the patrol cars below painted him in red and blue. The suspect froze when RJ growled, teeth bared not in anger, but in steady warning that the chase was over. Officers cuffed the man, discovering his license had been suspended for reckless driving, and his van sat hidden behind crates. Malik praised RJ, scratching behind his ears, thinking not many partners could guide a team through a city by smell alone. With the criminal caught and evidence secured, they headed back to the hospital, dawn's first gray ribbon appearing on the horizon. Malik radioed ahead, eager to tell a recovering family that justice was already waiting in the elevator lobby. Back at the hospital, morning light seeped through blinds, soaking the ward in calm gold as Aisha opened her eyes for the first time. Her mother hugged her gently, mindful of bandages, while her father ran fingers through her hair, whispering that the brave dog had saved her. RJ stood at the foot of the bed, tail wagging slowly, eyes bright with relief as though he too understood the good news. Dr. Fard explained that Aisha would need a cast for her arm and rest for her ribs, but she would make a full recovery. Reporters gathered again, yet this time the director allowed one quiet live segment to celebrate the hospital, the police, and RJ. Viewers across the city watched as the little girl reached out, touching the shepherd's nose and giggling for the cameras. Donations poured into the hospital's child trauma fund within hours, inspired by the unlikely team. Principal Saeed of Aisha's school called to say students were drawing cards and baking cookies for the staff who helped their friend. Social media overflowed with artwork of RJ wearing a badge, and a bakery even molded dog-shaped bread that sold out by noon. Meanwhile, Malik completed paperwork, recommending RJ be officially adopted by Aisha's family once legal searches turned up no other owner. The canine unit agreed, noting the dog had chosen a new mission and his skills would be wasted in a kennel. Aisha's parents smiled, recognizing that their daughter's best protector had already picked his forever home. A small ceremony took place in the pediatric wing, where Malik pinned an honorary medal shaped like a paw print onto RJ's vest. Children clapped from wheelchairs and crutches, cheering louder than parade horns, filling halls with fresh laughter. Ms. Khan read a thank you letter from the hospital board, praising every staff member and reminding them that courage can arrive on 4 paws. Dr. Farid, wiping proud tears, promised to install a framed photo of RJ and Aisha in the entrance lobby as a symbol of hope. Volunteers brought treats, peanut butter cookies for humans and crunchy biscuits for RJ, who accepted both with polite nods. Even the stern janitor, Mr. Qasim, known for grumbles about muddy footprints, offered RJ a gloved pat on the head. Through it all, the German Shepherd stayed humble, settling beside Aisha's bed whenever cameras left, guarding dreams instead of headlines. In that quiet room, girl and dog rested together, their breathing syncing like 2 halves of one grateful heart. Weeks later, Aisha returned home, her cast covered in colorful signatures and a paw print courtesy of RJ dipped in safe ink. The dog followed her like a silent guardian, waking her for medicine and fetching slippers with soldierly discipline learned long ago. Malik visited often, bringing chew toys and training tips that turned recovery time into playful lessons. Under his guidance, Aisha taught RJ new tricks, rewarding him with homemade treats while strengthening her healing arm. News outlets kept covering their progress, but the family limited interviews, wishing for normal mornings of cereal and cartoons. At school, Aisha's classmates hung a banner reading, "Welcome back, hero," and RJ earned special permission to accompany her on the first day. He sat by her desk, head high, calming butterflies and children who once feared big dogs but now asked for paw shakes. Teachers noticed sharper focus in students after RJ's visits. Even shy kids spoke up, eager to answer questions when he watched. Soon, the hospital invited the pair to join a therapy program where pets comfort patients during long treatments. Aisha agreed, proud to share RJ's warmth with others who felt afraid like she once did beneath hospital lights. During their first session, an elderly patient who rarely smiled reached out to stroke RJ's fur and whispered, "Thank you for coming." Outside the room, Ms. Khan and Dr. Farid observed, pleased that a night of chaos had grown into a circle of kindness. The delivery company whose driver caused the crash funded scholarships for vet tech students, hoping to honor the animal who revealed their flaw. Courts sentenced the driver to community service in the same ward he once filled with fear, ensuring he learned compassion firsthand. Malik supervised the service hours, noting how RJ's steady gaze reminded the man of the life he had endangered. Newspaper editorials praised the blend of law, medicine, and unconditional canine love that healed more than broken bones. City Council passed a bill supporting retired service dogs, providing food, health care, and legal status as official protectors. The mayor signed it at a public park, handing the first copy to Aisha, calling her and RJ symbols of unstoppable hope. Cameras flashed, but this time RJ didn't flinch. He simply rested his head against Aisha's hip, content and secure. As cheers rose, clouds drifted apart, and sunshine bathed the park, promising bright paths for every step they would take together. 1 year after that stormy night, the hospital unveiled a bronze statue of RJ and Aisha at its front garden, inviting staff, patients, and neighbors to celebrate. The sculpture showed the dog standing tall with a gentle gaze, while a small hand rested on his head, capturing the instant courage met innocence. Children scattered flower petals, and a street band played cheerful tunes that bounced off glass walls and drifted toward passing traffic. Ms. Khan delivered a speech, recalling the exact moment wet paws crossed the lobby and changed every life in the building. She spoke of teamwork, reminding listeners that heroes were uniforms, scrubs, badges, and sometimes simply fur. Dr. Farid added that donations had upgraded vital equipment in the pediatric wing. Officer Malik addressed the crowd last, wearing a smile brighter than his polished shoes, and pinned a new tag on RJ reading Guardian Forever. Aisha, taller now, embrace-free, read a short poem she wrote about hope arriving in unexpected shapes during darkest hours. Her words made even stern reporters dab their eyes, and the bronze dog seemed to glow under the noon sun. After the ceremony, families lined up to pet the real RJ, who accepted every touch with calm patience. Nearby, puppies in training watched, tails thumping as if eager to follow his path. The city's animal shelter director thanked donors for record adoptions inspired by RJ's story, proving that one act ripples outward. Vendors sold paw print cookies while laughter mixed with birdsong, forming a soundtrack of safe times. When dusk painted the sky pink, lights illuminated the statue, casting shadows, girl and dog, across new roses. Aisha's father whispered that some stories live beyond news cycles. They settle into streets, classrooms, and kind hearts. Her mother nodded, remembering sleepless nights turn into bright mornings because one animal refused to ignore a stranger's pain. Malik, holding a cup of tea, reflected that justice is not only punishment but also the rebuilding of trust shattered by wrongdoing. Miss Khan placed her hospital badge at the statue's base for a minute, silently promising to honor the lesson every shift henceforth. As stars blinked awake, RJ lay at Aisha's feet, sighing with the contentment of a mission fulfilled yet never truly finished. And so the legend of the dog who walked into a hospital with a wounded girl became part of the city's beating heart, guiding future acts of courage.